Hi, Bede. How are you? Welcome to Razmafzar TV.
Good. It's great to be here.
Thank you very much. Today we are going to talk about Museum Angewandte Kunst, is a applied arts museum, the translation in Frankfurt, Germany. They have an exhibition until the end of this month, which is on different statues of Buddha, whatever you want to call it. And we
That's
have also, they have also, permanent exhibitions. And we are going to talk about first these exhibition on the Buddha statues, which will last until the end of this month, and also some items from their permanent exhibitions, but from different cultures. So this is what we are going to talk about, Pete. Okay,
excellent.
let me just go and try to share. Mm, okay, I hope you see them.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let me just
Oh,
go
very nice.
to the beginning. This is the first one, right? The exhibition is called The Awakened, right? So it's
Mhm.
very interesting. Also, the title is very interesting. So
Very appropriate for the Buddha. Yes.
yeah, exactly. That's the name of the exhibition. Very appropriate, as you said. And
Mm.
then they have also an exhibition catalog they publish, or is it just brochure? And
Mhm.
in German. And you see that here, it's cast bronze, is
Mm.
partially gilded in Thailand and around
Yeah.
1350. And it is the height 104 centimeters. Look at this, Pete.
Oh, yeah.
104. So it's quite
The
huge.
Thai's bronze casting and carving in general is of such high quality
Yeah.
and has been such high quality for centuries and centuries and centuries. Their paintings also really interesting. If you see Thai paintings, um, I must admit the my first exposure to old Thai culture was a movie made in Thailand. Um, and you've got to understand, I grew up in Australia as a Western person, and I didn't really, I mean, I'm interested in Persian art and Greek art and Chinese art. So I did have a fairly wide understanding. But watching a movie that was a reasonably accurate depiction of Thailand in the mid 1500s was like going to another planet.
Yeah.
It was so entirely different from everything I'd ever seen.
Yes.
And I recognized the artwork and the paintings they had as a background between scenes. They'd occasionally put up Thai paintings from the period. And it was amazing. And the thing about the Buddhas that were carved, or cast in this case,
Yes.
is that they have a particular type of serenity.
Yeah, they do.
It's the facial features are slightly different from country to country. It's not like they're trying to reproduce their ethnicity. It's that their way of projecting that calmness and serenity is culturally appropriate to whichever culture you're looking at. But
Yes.
these are love.
Lovely.
I'm just looking at the. I mean, every gesture, every hand position, everything has a name and a particular significance. It's not like that just casually he's put his hand in his lap and he's got one on his knee. That actually has a particular meaning,
Yes.
which I don't know because I'm not Buddhist or an expert on Buddhist sculpture. But it's really interesting when you see it and
Yes.
just see how anybody looking at this would feel the calmness. You know,
Please take a
got a
look.
bit of a chubby neck. It's,
Yes.
I feel it's,
Yes.
the long ears are also a sign of his holiness. I think these nothing in this is by accident,
Oh,
and the little um, bun of hair on the top of his head, and the in this case it looks like it's got a little flame or a mountain growing out of it.
yeah.
That actually goes back to the origin of Buddhist sculpture, which weirdly enough was influenced by the Greeks. So after Alexander's empire collapsed, a number of Greek or Indo-Greek kingdoms were set up in what's now Pakistan and Afghanistan.
Yes.
And when Buddhism came there, they used Greek sculptural ideas to depict the Buddha, because before that they only showed the Buddha as a lotus, or it wasn't a figural thing, a human thing. And one of the things is a little knot of hair up there, which is related to the Greek god Apollo, which is quite strange. But
Very nice.
uh,
Look at the hand position. So Bede was talking about nothing is by accident or haphazard. Look at the hand position. Uh,
and even the little piece of, well, he's got various things, but see just next to his navel, there's this very stylized piece of folded cloth,
yes.
and each area has their own particular things. I mean, Buddhist sculpture is very similar to Christian iconography,
Yeah.
so that, like, um, it's not depicting a particular, like the original race of Buddha. He was a Shakya from what's now northern India, um, Nepal, and things like that. Um, it's but it's absorbed into the culture
Yeah.
where it's produced, so you get that particular feeling.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very very it's interesting. Everything about it's interesting. Actually, I'm looking at the how there's two little folds there. Now,
Yes.
normally there's all kinds of gestures that the Buddha makes with his fingers, and it's like he's been doing it a lot, and he's developed kind of like
Here you mean,
folds from
right?
the
Yeah.
yeah yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit fanciful, but anyway.
Yes, that's right. The next one is also very interesting, is
Ah,
Kuan
Guan Yin.
Yin. Yes. With a fish
This
basket.
is re-
Yes.
this is really interesting because Guan Yin was originally a male bodhisattva, like a person who could have become a Buddha, but decided that he would, or her, would stay in the world to help people. And Guan Yin originally was a man. But in China, gradually,
Yes.
over the centuries,
Yes.
the depiction started to show a woman because of the benevolence and the kindness. They thought it was more appropriate to a woman. Maybe. I don't know.
Go ahead, please, Pete. I'm just trying to do something. Go ahead, please. Yes.
Yeah.
So a
So, I
woman,
mean, it's interesting. The spelling on that's a bit weird because Q in modern Chinese pinyin is pronounced ch, um, whereas that's definitely meant to be like a K.
yeah,
And they use the typical European spelling of KU,
yes,
QU.
that's
Uh,
correct.
but it's a bit confusing if you read Chinese, pinyin, not Chinese. I don't read Chinese. Um, but yeah, it's really interesting. That kind of white porcelain imagery is very popular in China. For Guanyin. I mean, you see these everywhere. Where I live in Sydney, you see them in shops because um, Guanyin as a woman is a very um, highly liked manifestation of Buddha's spirit.
Pete, look at the
They say,
detail on the porcelain.
oh,
Look at
look,
the details.
yeah, yeah, but also notice the similar expression on the face to the previous Buddha that
Oh,
was
let me
made,
just put it back.
centuries before.
Yes.
The eyes looking down, the,
Yeah.
the the calmness, no tension in the face at
Yes.
all. And that's exactly the same thing that you see in the next one. Even though I mean, she looks Chinese,
Yes.
and and but there's no problem. You see also a lot of jewels hanging down on the skirts of a robe and up around her chest.
Yes.
Um, there's a whole series of tantric bone jewels from Tibetan Buddhism that high lamas and various other people wore, which intricately fitted pieces on cords and everything to make aprons and whatnot.
Yes.
So it's there's influences in this. The Qing were quite influenced by Tibetan Buddhism as well as normal Chinese Buddhism, and
Why a fish
so
basket? Why is it a fish basket?
I I'm I can't remember precisely. I think it has to do with a particular story.
Yes.
But remember, a bodhisattva is going to be helping people, and one of
Yes.
the ways that things can go wrong is if you're bad in one life, you can be reborn as a lower form of life, like a
Yes.
fish. And
Yes.
things could be very unlucky if you were born as a fish and a fisherman caught you. So maybe she's rescuing a poor fish. Um,
Yes.
it's just looking at all of it. I mean, imagine making that basket in porcelain. I assume that there could. I assume they call it a fish basket because there's a fish in it.
Yeah.
Uh, um, sometimes uh, gods and goddesses are holding things that contain peaches, and peaches in Chinese mythology have to do with the fruit that gives you immortality. Um, so often there's quite complex relationships to the imagery that are not all Buddhist. I mean, sometimes they're purely Buddhist, sometimes they're not. And in the Qing dynasty, which is what the label said this is from, and it definitely looks like it, um, there was a degree of eclecticism, calling because Tibetan Buddhism is different from the original Buddhism, is different from the Buddhism in Sri Lanka, Burma, Myanmar, and Thailand. They're different schools of Buddhism, and the standard Buddhism in China and Japan. So you've got three basic schools. You've got Theravada. Theravada is the most basic. This is the one you see in Thailand and in Sri Lanka and in Myanmar. You've got Mahayana, which is the one that has the gods and the demons and everything. And that's the one that was common in China and Japan. And then you've got Vajrayana, which is the kind of tantric, highly developed magical form of Buddhism, which is what the Tibetans eventually adopted and perfected. So there's lots of different things. You also have things like Zen Buddhism, which is a kind of very pragmatic and simplified version of
Yes.
Buddhism that isn't too worried about what Buddha looks like or what the gods look like or whatever.
Yes.
So it's quite a complex
Very cool.
thing.
Look at the facial features, close up beat.
Yeah, you see a slightly chubby Chinese woman
Yeah.
uh, being. See, there's two types of Buddhist depiction. There is the kind of full face, um, slightly overweight type, which goes on to extremely funny looking Buddhas in some Japanese and Chinese depiction. And then there's the really skinny ones who are showing Buddha when he was being an ascetic and starving himself and everything to detach himself from worldly desires. So that there are Buddhas that the ribs are sticking out, and there are Buddhas with fat bellies, and they depict different aspects of how
Yes.
the Buddha is progressing in his road to enlightenment.
This is called the Striding Buddha. Again, Thailand, cast bronze. 13, 14,
Yeah.
74 centimeters beat height.
See the headdress is very Thai.
Yes.
Tall pointed headdresses. They they excelled in doing that.
Yes.
You notice it's quite a sinuous body,
Yeah, it is.
um, but still serene. I mean, it's not like a Greek statue running or anything like that.
Mm.
Just progressing along with even steps. Obviously, it was highly gilded when it was
Yes.
made.
Yes. It was
So
high.
gilding bronze was quite popular in Thailand. And there's another thing. I think there's a tradition of when you're going to a temple and you're making an offering to the Buddha.
Yes.
In a lot of places in Thailand, they used to stick gold leaf on the statues. Like a person come up with a sheet of gold leaf and just push it onto the statue. I think at one stage in Thailand, they had a statue that had been sitting in a temple for 300 or 400 years, and it was solidly covered with gold leaf. And it was only a small statue, and they decided they'd clean all the gold leaf off it to see the original statue. And the original statue was carved out of emerald, I think, or jade. But there was this incredibly beautiful statue inside all these layers of gold leaf, which were where people were, coming and praying and probably asking for the Buddha to make their lives a little bit better. Uh, but just as a way of worship. Nobody got like putting the gold on there. Didn't The priests didn't use it? Nobody used it. It was just a person to their deity kind of thing. Not that Buddha was supposed to be a god, but it was a very personal thing. But all this gold built up over the years. This is not the same kind of thing. This is one where the gold is part of the decoration, and using gold in particularly Thailand and Burma, Myanmar was really common for decorating things that were of great religious significance, or sometimes when they're to do with royalty, because the kings of Burma and the kings of Thailand always were very highly regarded.
Yes.
Um,
Look
Same
at the
in
position of the
Thailand.
hand beat, left hand. Look,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we've
very
got this.
interesting, huh?
Yeah, I'd there are books telling what all these hand positions mean. It's
Yeah.
worthwhile if you're interested to look them up,
Yes.
because I'm sure you can do it on Wikipedia too.
Yes.
Because it's a language. It's related in a way to dance in India, where in Indian dance every gesture has a name and a meaning.
Yes.
It's not I'm doing this. It's that means this and this means this, and to move from there to there means something. It's a language of movement and position, and it naturally went into Buddhism because Buddhism started in India, so it
Yeah.
had access to all of these traditions.
Yes. Absolutely. And also again, long ears, right?
Yeah, yeah. This is a very common thing. You see it in even in things like Taoist imagery in China. Even Confucius is sometimes shown with long ears because it's a sign of quality of the person, so to speak. Oh, these look
Yeah.
Tibetan or Nepalese.
We are going to talk about them one by one, these three.
Uh,
So
mhm.
again, as you can see,
Sino-Tibetan, yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
beautiful, huh?
So Shenlong, yeah.
Yeah. It has
And
also a mark on that, right? You see that
yeah,
it has
well, yeah, the Qianlong Emperor would have definitely anything that he owned or appreciated, he would have his um, rain mark sign put on it.
yes, this has the
Usually,
mark.
it'd be something like Da Qing Jianlong,
Yeah.
and sorry, got all the tones wrong, but that's just me.
Mhm.
But you can see these. This is a whole different way of depicting Buddha. It's very dynamic, and it's almost like it's going to move, even though it's very still. And this is characteristic of Tibetan Nepali style, which is a whole different thing. And those styles, because Tibet was very important in transferring later stages of Buddhist ideas
Yes.
into China and Mongolia, you get this kind of thing is very highly valued, was very highly valued in the big monasteries.
Yes.
And the Qing emperors were quite supportive of Tibetan Buddhism. Um, so that there were uh, big temples built in China as well, and Tibetan monks were brought there to do all the to run them and the officiation of in the ceremonies and things, and artists were also brought from there, from Tibet, sometimes from Nepal. Um, it's interesting if you've ever seen the imperial portraits of the Yuan dynasty of the Mongol emperors. Most of them, even though they're very Chinese looking to us, nearly all of the portraits were done by a Nepali artist who probably trained to be a an artist for Buddhist scriptures and that.
Yes.
And it's really interesting because you look at them and you think that's very Chinese and the people look very Mongolian, but to realize it's somebody from Nepal that did all the painting. This is in the 1300s. I mean, it's a long time ago, but still, it's really interesting. Notice the lotus throne, the very stylized um, throne that the Buddha sits on.
Yes.
Um, it's interesting. I applaud the museum saying an unidentified Sino-Tibetan Buddhist deity, because you don't know whether it's the Buddha, you don't know whether it's a god, you don't know whether it's a bodhisattva. Sometimes you can tell by the position of the hand, Maitreya and people like that, Amitabha, uh, have particular attributes which they often
Yes.
display in how they hold their hands and whatever. Um, but seriously, sometimes nobody knows which god they meant. The people at the time did, obviously, but
Mhm. It's
it's really nicely done.
37.5 the height.
So,
You go
so
to yeah, exactly.
yeah, that's quite big for that type of bronze because they're normally
Yes.
quite small because they're meant for small
Yeah,
shrines.
that's what I was surprised as well. They're really quite big for that type, made of bronze, being made
Yeah,
of bronze.
yeah, because you normally see them about this big to about that big. This is twice as big as the normal
Yes.
ones.
It's an exceptional
But
collection. It's a private collection, huh?
oh,
Donated to the museum.
I really, when you look at it, you look at the detail, you look at the
Mm.
again this expression, the eyes. This is a more advanced way of depicting the eyes, which you see in as far east as Japan. You see it in Korea because these styles spread out from their places of origin, like the Tibetan influenced ones. This style was becoming prominent even in the Ming Dynasty. There are Ming Dynasty Buddhists or sculptures of Buddha or bodhisattvas or whatever.
Mm.
Um, I say whatever because there's lots of different characters that get statues made of them, not just the Buddha or the bodhisattvas.
Mm.
Um, you start to see them in this style turning up in the Ming Dynasty. So there's this continuous flow of artistic development moving from various areas, and they get to a new area, and it becomes particular. You can say straight away, "Oh, this comes from such and such an area." In this case, Sino-Tibetan is a good description because sometimes it's hard to tell where they were made. Um,
Yes.
simply by the style because they were so good at trying to achieve this particular look.
Looking at the top, like this, if I want to call it a crown or whatever it is, it
It is
reminds me the
definitely
similar shape in Persian art. This guy.
well,
Jergeh is
as
called in
we've
Persian.
we've discovered in the past, looking at some wall paintings in Tibet, there are influences of Persian art in
Yeah.
Tibet,
Do you
as
remember they
there
were
are.
using Sasanian draw?
Yeah, yeah,
Clearly.
yeah,
Do you remember?
yeah, exactly. And there's quite old depictions of that going back to the fifth or sixth. There are depictions in Buddhist temples, I think, on the Silk Road in what's now Xinjiang, of archers doing this. So contemporary with the Sasanian Empire. So and there are a lot of Sasanian traders in Chang'an, the capital of the Tang Dynasty.
Yes.
Uh, so that the Persian influence in areas where Buddhism was very prominent uh, is quite profound. And there are, I think it was Kusel,
Mhm.
where they removed a lot of beautiful wall paintings and took them back to Germany. I think it was Albert von Lecoq was involved in that. Uh, there are people dressed in Persian and Khorasmian clothing
Yes.
as donors in Buddhist temples. They paint them on the wall. This is, Prince such and such who donated something to the temple.
Yeah. The next one is very interesting. This is, as you can see that transcendent Buddha, also China,
Mm.
also the Qing dynasty.
Yeah. Yeah. Chen Lung again has got his stamp on it. Again, you see the lotus throne.
Yeah.
There's an inscription on the front, which may be, you know, I can see it starts with Dai or Da, written from uh, right to left, I think, uh, just below where he's sitting.
Here,
Um,
you mean, let me show it? I should have made a close up for you. Here.
Yeah. Um, so maybe that's the. I feel so ignorant, but maybe that's the Daijing Jianlong, etc., etc. Um, you see, in the tradition of Indian depictions of deities,
Yeah.
there's more than one face,
Yes, more than one face.
and that's quite normal. It's quite normal in Hindu art. It's quite normal in Buddhist art.
Yeah.
Um, and it's meant. It's not to say that the person had multiple faces. It's meant to say that they had multiple aspects or influences on the world that they uh, generated. Again, you see over his stomach,
Mhm.
you see that disc.
Yes.
That's the meant to be the wheel of life, the inevitable going up, then going down, then
Yeah.
going under, then being reborn and starting the whole process all over again. So this is on the Indian flag as well, I think.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not an expert on flags, uh, but you see how the drapery is very stylized, like the little scarves and that are flying in the non-existent breeze. But things like those crowns, they actually made them for ceremonies in Tibetan temples, and they still exist.
Yes.
So we know these things are quite accurate. Um, I saw one once on sale in Sydney about 30 or 40 years ago, and we were going, where did that come? How did that get here? Probably not here. Back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it was quite common to see things that clearly had come out of temples and possibly not on purpose. Um,
Yes.
I know some things out of Tibetan temples came out because it was to finance the Tibetan government in exile. So it was actually with the permission of the Dalai Lama and people like that in order to raise money. But also, when these things circulate in the West,
Yeah.
if you're a Buddhist, you're saying, well, the people will see this and they'll start thinking about the Buddha and maybe they'll improve their lives.
Yeah.
So it's not just a commercial thing.
Yes. Look at
Beautiful.
this feet.
Yeah. So crisp,
Yeah.
the casting. And see, this is what the gilding was originally meant to look like. The gilding was just to show skin color. They're not trying to say, look, I'm made of gold. Gold was just a pigment. And applying,
Yes.
gold directly onto bronze gives you a really nice effect for skin. And then the undecorated bronze stands out even more.
Yeah. That's right. Very nice. Very nice.
It's beautiful.
And then another one.
Another
Again.
of
Yeah.
these standard poses and the hands and the leg, everything's got a significance. Tara, yeah.
Yeah.
So Tara was in this case a bodhisattva.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they're explaining that the hand positions in the text. That's brilliant.
Yes.
Um, yeah, this is such good quality work.
Really. 37.5 as well. They're all almost the same size.
Yeah,
Very nice.
yeah. Oh well, yeah. This is probably a class of object that didn't readily get out of China or Tibet um, because of its large size. I mean, it's not huge, but a lot of the smaller ones just disappeared and turned up in Europe and America. So,
Look at
but
this.
yeah, see how perfectly they've used that. They've got the lips standing out because the face and the chest and the arms are gold. Uh, it's just so beautifully done. And to think that part of the devotion was to sit and look at these statues and trying to you go into a state of meditation.
Mhm.
And this, I think, would have a very strong effect on a devotee looking at it.
Mhm.
In this case, long ears and big earrings.
Yes. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
And the next one, this is limestone China. This is much earlier.
Dang.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And Shakyamuni is the historical Buddha. That is the Buddha that achieved enlightenment in India 2,500 years ago. Um, so the others like Green Tara and that, these are manifestations of either bodhisattvas
Yes.
or things that come out of Buddhist belief.
Yes.
This, on the other hand, is meant to be a person,
Yes.
and though interestingly enough, if you look at him carefully and then relate him to paintings of the 8th and 9th centuries, which is within this area, he's actually dressed in a kind of robe that you see Zen Buddhist masters when they're painted in Japan are often wearing. Not
Yes.
as,
Exactly.
it's usually made of patchwork pieces fitted together to show
Yes.
that I'm not rich or anything or whatever, even though they're often incredibly wealthy. Um,
Yes.
and he is, I, I think he's sitting cross-legged on a tall throne, like a chair.
Yeah.
Buddhist abbots in the big monasteries, often the round back, horseshoe back chairs that the Chinese made such beautiful ones of, were the thrones for these abbots to sit on.
Yes.
And I mean, wealthy Chinese bureaucrats use them as well, but particularly you see abbots wearing them. And because this is Shakyamuni, the historical Buddha Gautama, um, he is shown as a real person sitting on a real chair.
Yes.
He's not sitting on a magical lotus throne or anything like that.
It's quite
Really
old
quite
period.
interesting.
Tang Dynasty 600,
Yeah,
1807.
yeah. And the
And
Tang major contacts with Iran, actually, as you know.
yes, yes. Do you remember that city that our colleague from National Museum was analyzing with Chinese colleagues, where they have Sasanian kings and warriors visiting China for the first time?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for the
It's
first time.
actually
And then you could
not.
see also their weapons on them, Sasanian weapons. And
Yeah.
so they are big formations of Sasanians. They have never shown it to the world up to now.
Mm,
So he's writing a article on that, and they're all Sasanian Pierrot's king, who after Arab
mm.
invasions escaped. So they were,
Yes.
and they, all of them there is so magnificent.
Yeah. Yeah. There
Magnificent.
was when the Chinese periodically the Chinese opened up to influences from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And because of the Silk Road, the influences were really quite complex. So you had the Persians, even people from Rome got as far as China, and the Sogdians, who were Iranian-speaking people from Central Asia. There's still a few people that speak the old Sogdian language in one of the republics in Central Asia. It's not dead. It's
Yeah.
very limited, but it's not dead. Um, and you also see people from Korea in the east. Very rarely can you identify Japanese visitors in Tang sculptures and that, but often, particularly the tombs of the emperors, had rows of sculptures representing dignities and visitors and ambassadors and generals and whatever put up in the courtyards of their tomb enclosures. The tombs were usually huge hills with stone chambers underneath them. And some of them are very accurate depictions of, ethnic dress and weapons and whatnot. Uh, the Tang was a very open dynasty to other influences. I think mainly because they felt so absolutely in charge. They had no doubts they were the best that's going on. Um,
And
I
this one
don't
is
even
also
think.
quite large, 46 centimeters.
Yeah, yeah. See, this is impressive, and it's limestone, but it's been painted, um, which is typical. We in the West are kind of inured to seeing perfectly white marble statues from Greece and Rome. But what we don't know is when they dug them up out of the ground, they still had painted here into him, but the people that dug them up and put them in their gardens had that all polished off because
Yes,
they like the white marble.
unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, so we missed a lot of the art of the ancient world because of that. Uh, But you see in China, even the pottery warriors, when they were first excavated, the paint was clearly visible.
Yes.
But as soon as light and air hit it, it started to fade.
Yes.
But luckily, they did drawings in color
Yes.
before it all happened, so that we know what they look like. Yeah, this is really, he's stylized in the sense that the face is fairly bland. It doesn't
Yeah.
have any real features, but that's deliberate. I mean, if you see Tang wall paintings and that, you know they could do very good depictions of human faces, of individual people.
Yes. Very nice.
His little bun on top of his head has got really quite big now.
Yes.
Um, Changing things. He's got like a halo or a like the Persian kings had of fire
Far.
behind his head. Yeah. Um,
Yes.
yeah, it's
Excuse me.
really nice.
So there are also some others here. Right. And let me
Oh
just
yeah,
go, we get details of them later.
yeah, yeah.
Let us go and start with this torso of a standing Buddha, cast
Yes,
bronze
yes,
Thailand. It's only torso. I mean, I'm sorry for the bad lighting here, right? But
yeah,
I mean, you don't see the
yeah.
head,
But
it's just the torso. Yes.
yeah, but see that really sinuous shape. It's
Yes.
before Buddha got fat.
Sitting too much, huh?
Well, I don't know. I think that the fatness was to show goodness. We think of fatness as being bad health, but 1,000 years ago, maybe fatness was showing that prosperity. You
You
know,
could
like
afford it, right?
yeah, you can actually afford to eat more food than you need. It was a big thing in the old days.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got such a sinuous line to it.
Yeah.
And this is, I mean, these early, well, it's not that early for Thailand. Sukhothai is the first big kingdom, but there was a previous period of Thai history that was quite prominent as well. Um, but they have this real feeling for, this kind of shape and uh,
It's unbelievable.
figural art that is really very, very good. Oh, these are nice.
Very nice. 6.3 centimeters to 12, these plaques. South
Yeah.
Thailand, right? Look at them.
They look like they're stamped.
Yeah.
So you make a negative mold or a female
Yeah.
mold if you want to use that term,
Yeah.
and you press it into the clay, and the clay then forms a figure. You take it off, and you either fire the clay or just dry it. And
Yes.
weirdly enough, it'll last centuries. This clearly has
Yeah.
lasted what 100 years or something like this. So
Yeah.
it's not old,
Yes.
but it's completely in the tradition of something from 6 or 7 centuries earlier.
Yes. Completely. Very nice.
Yeah, yeah, it's perfect now.
Yes.
Isn't that a lovely? See, he's just got his hands wrapped around his knees, just sitting on the ground. He's very relaxed. The robes are very much Ming Dynasty robes.
Yes.
Monks actually still kept wearing robes that weren't. When the Manchus took over China, they mandated that everybody except for certain groups had
Mm.
to wear Manchu clothing. So these, they call them short collar robes, basically disappeared, except for monks and a few other professions that they allowed um, to to wear them. But everybody else had to wear those robes with the collar like that, and and they had to have their heads with the long hair from the middle back of the head. The interesting thing in China, monks were very highly regulated because in the period leading up to the Tang Dynasty and afterwards, the monasteries acquired huge holdings of land. And earlier emperors had said, well, if you're a monastery, you don't have to pay taxes. A thing that's happened in the Christian world as well. And the result was they had huge land holdings, and people would donate land to monasteries um, to escape paying tax for it and still get most of the produce of the land. Of course, everybody was interested in agriculture, and they would pay the monastery a certain amount, basically in rent. But it was a way of escaping tax because taxes were quite high.
Yeah.
So, in order to be a monk, you had to have a certificate issued by the government
Mm.
to say you're really a monk. And if you shaved your head in China um, and pretended to be a monk, that was illegal. The only people allowed to shave their heads were people with a certificate saying they were a monk. Because in the Ming dynasty and earlier dynasties, your hair was a gift from your parents, and cutting your hair or shaving it was um, unfilial. It was an insult to your parents and your ancestors. So Ming men and women never cut their hair. But if you're a monk, you could cut your hair because you were separated from your family when you became a monk. You became a servant of Buddha. You didn't have these connections anymore in theory. So therefore, you shaved your head to show that you're disconnected. Now, this may not be how people think today, and current day Buddhists probably have different reasons for doing those things. But that's what back, like fifth, sixth, seventh centuries. That's how the thinking went.
Bede, look at
So,
his eyes. I don't want to be insulting, but look at his eyes, the position of his eyes, and his lips, and the grin on his face.
well,
Doesn't
he's
it
a
look
happy Buddha.
strange?
The eyes. There's a whole series of Western art historians talking about Chinese shaped eyes in um, styles that came from neighboring countries where they changed the eyes to look more like Chinese eyes. I think it might be exaggerated, but I don't know. To me, it looks like his eyes are rolling up in his head,
Yes,
like he's going into a trance state. And the grin, you're right, he's grinning. Um,
he's grinning as if he's saying that what is going on here? Something like in that line, right? In
well,
those
maybe,
lines.
yeah, maybe. But see, the thing about Buddhism, you're trying to achieve freedom from emotion, freedom from desires, freedom from the everyday grind because
Yeah.
you're trying to concentrate on escaping the wheel of life.
Yes.
Maybe he's a little bit too self-satisfied to be a very good Buddhist.